either. Authentication is really beyond the scope of Magic, and obviously depends upon your existing database structure, etc. However, in the latest release of Magic, I have created an example one-size-fits-all authentication system, which is much more seriously implemented than the default authentication. Now, if you go to Files, and then you choose Modules, and then you choose System, and then you choose magic.startup, then you see here that the existing authentication slot actually just checks to see if your username and password happens to be root. Obviously, that's not even a toy authentication system. However, I wanted Magic to be completely database agnostic and easy to start with from a development perspective, so this is the authentication I chose by default. In the last version of Magic though, I have added a couple of files in, I can close this guy first, in the MISC folder. So when you go to the Files browser here, then you can open up the MISC folder. The first file you would want to evaluate is this one called magic_auth.sql. What this file actually does is that it creates a database called magic auth, and then it creates a users table, and then it creates a roles table, and then it creates an association between one user and multiple roles here. Now, if I evaluate this, then basically it creates 3 tables in a new database for me called magic_auth. And I can already select all from roles and see that the system has inserted 3 default roles for me: root, user, and guests. It has not inserted any users for me. So there are no users in my database, but there are 3 roles in my system now. And this exists in the magic_auth database. Then I can go back to my files editor here and open up MISC again. And then I can click on the create user.hl file here. This file actually allows me to create a new username password combination and associate it with whatever role I want that user to be associated with. By default, it uses the username of username and the password of password. So just type in any username and you want here. It could be admin. My password could be foobar. And maybe I want it to only belong to the root user. Well, now I can just simply evaluate this file and it inserts a new entry into my users table. If I now go back to here and I choose magic_auth and I select all from users, you will see that it actually has entries in my users table. And it has also associated this user with the root role. Okay, so I now got everything in place I need in order to actually exchange the underlying simple authentication system. The third thing I want to do is to go back to Files, open up MISC, and then click on authenticate.hl. This file actually replaces the existing authentication logic in Magic. If I go down to the bottom here and I click Evaluate now, then my slot for authentication has now been replaced. If I now log out and I try to log in with root, it will deny me access. If I instead log in with admin, my new username, and foobar, my new password, it will grant me access. It's important that you actually test the system this way, because if something now fails, if you did something wrong during this recipe, then everything you really need to do is to restart your ASP.NET Core web application, and everything will be back to normal and you can log in with root/root. However, once you have verified that everything actually now exists and actually works, you can open the MISC folder, you can open authenticate.hl, you can copy everything in this file, Control A, Control C, then you can close the file, then you can go up one level, you can open up Modules, System, Magic Startup, and then you can open up Magic Authenticate.hl. And now we're simply going to delete the existing code. Click Ctrl V, paste in the new code that we fetched from the other file. Then we're going to click Save. And when the system restarts now, when the website for some reasons restarts, then it's going to load up this authentication slot instead of the old one that statically checks for the existence of root/root. And that's basically it. You can now log out. You can log in with admin, foo-bar, and it works. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.